Hi and welcome to the Barcast, the podcast, the most exciting one so far for this series because we're just coming off of last weekend, which was the BAR Trail Mix 5K. It's only myself, Salt here, and
George, I'm here.
Yeah, we are here, and it's still on a high from Saturday, George. Still on a high, still feeling good about seeing everything come off. I would have told you that I was a little nervous, like, I hope this event comes off. I hope this event's come off. So, were you nervous? Because I know you're a big bad man. You don't really show
I ain't never scared.
Yeah.
I was nervous from the perspective that I felt like this event could have affected events for everybody else on the island.
Yeah.
So I felt like there was a responsibility for us to do everything we needed to do to get this one right.
Yeah.
So normally for something as simple as a 5K course, I've done enough of these events now that I kind of know where all the boxes are that need to be checked. We would go out and we would set up the course the Friday night, and you got your registration online and so on and so forth. But this time, I set up from like Thursday morning,
which is rare.
Like exactly. I was like standing around thinking, I gotta be forgetting something because we're never this far ahead of schedule, right?
Yeah.
And again, I want to say a big thanks to two young men who are working with me, who I am super impressed by. And guys, the future is in safe hands when it comes to event management if you're using Nathan Neblett and Dominic Scanderbury, because these two guys have really taken leadership on helping me to organize and coordinate a lot of these activities.
Right.
And I'm super proud to work with them. I mean, they really impressed me with their leadership skills over the weekend.
And coordination skills.
So, I mean, like half the time I just go to tell Nathan, do X, and Nathan comes back and tell me, well, I did X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and D. And just in case you wanted F and G done, I did them too. And that's kind of the initiative you need, And meanwhile, Dominic is telling me, now 8 o'clock too late, let me get up at 7 and do this work before the sun come up hot. So
that's impressive, George.
So these kids are good. So we were like way ahead of schedule as far as course setup is concerned. And my main issue, of course, my main concern I should say was making sure that there was a proper flow with respect to the pre-event on-site testing.
Yes.
So we need to make sure that there were no gaps where someone could perhaps slip through and they go through the whole crowd and then you come back and test them and realize just contaminate the whole area before they got tested and they were positive. Thankfully, there were no positive results.
Thanks for that.
Everything felt like really good and really comfortable and really safe. Obviously, you could see that people felt a little strange to be mixing around other people.
The start line was bedlam for me. It was let's get all of that easier.
Yeah. But again, once we can be sure that everybody on site is negative, then pretty much we have a bubble of, even if it's 500 people, we know everybody on site is negative. We control the movement of people within the space. Even then, we still make sure that your volunteers and all your ancillary staff are masked up all the time, constantly sanitizing. And this is probably going to be the way to go for organizing at least these types of outdoor events going forward.
For the next, for the foreseeable future is what we would say. It's not going to be like this all the time, but we got to do our part because we still want to be outside, as you said. But so let's get to the meat of the matter.
Yes,
After
sir.
that introduction, we want to talk about the fact. First of all, you moved it all to the evening time. I think that worked well.
Listen, that made such a difference here because honestly, you're asking for people to help you, asking for volunteers to help.
Exactly.
And they got, there's a curfew on, so they got to get out their bed and be hustling in the dark for a 6 o'clock start. We would have had half or even fewer than that of the volunteers if we had that morning start, for sure.
Yeah.
Shifting in the afternoon gives you a chance to, people can still get up and do things in the day and then they can come out and help. And it also helps as far as all the setup and coordination is concerned, just having daylight to do it in, so much difference to doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So we started off with the juniors. We're jumping right in, man, because we want to get to these performances on the day, George. Juniors, you ran, it was all boys? It was had a team cross country as well.
So the team cross country was four males and one female.
Yeah.
We had a couple teams that weren't quite able to field a female in their team, and they ran without.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the actual first full team to cross the line was the Elite Distance Program, headed by Coach Leo Garns, and he collected his $500.
Congratulations, Garnsey.
And when David Sumer gets back from the Amarone Charitable Trust, we'll arrange, the usual photo shoot, handing over whatever it is that they want for the club. We'll write the check for it.
Yeah.
So that was a very interesting race because this is the first race of the day. It was in the rain.
It started in the rain. Oh, but them is juniors, right? So them ain't care. But was there any concern there? Like, how these men, first of all, Bajans, anybody catch a cold. Is how they're going to leave the course. And I feel like adults might even get some up. Now, George, you can hold on 5 minutes and let me see. Were these guys eager to jump in and run even though the rain was falling?
Well, I think the fact that it was a cross-country course made a difference. If it were a pure track event or even a road race, you might have tried to wait till the conditions were more favorable. But for cross-country, a lot of time it's held in not in Barbados, but overseas. It's held at that time of the year when it's usually rain or sometimes even snow, and it's held in conditions that are going to be muddy and sticky and wet. So we were happy to give them an authentic experience.
It was it reminded me a bit watching them because I would have been outside of Peg trying to make my way inside. So the traffic had gone stopped for the 3 o'clock start.
Right.
So when they passed by, the rain was falling inside the car. Rain pelting out on the car, and these guys running. It felt like they were watching Spartan race in Seattle. It felt like a true experience because they're running in the rain, and you can see the guys drenched.
And hair coming out of their face and things. Yeah. So it really felt like an authentic experience, and it was really interesting to see how these young men and young ladies just put down their head and got to there was no complaining.
Yeah.
Everybody just got on with it. And it was a super fast event despite the conditions.
Is there many easy boy? So we had that was one with Finn.
Correct. Finn Armstrong was the first over the line, 20:46.
That's a good time.
And that's an incredible time.
Remember when we
was
training the course, and Josh, we can talk about Josh. And Josh was waiting his times. We were saying that 20 point is real fast. I can't believe this man running 20 point. Yeah. And this was in perfect conditions.
We were speculating that on race day somebody might dip under 20 if the conditions were perfect. And they definitely were not that.
Because
20.46 was still ridiculous.
Ridiculous, but my thing with him and with Luke, all the youngsters, the top 3 especially though, was the level of comfort that it felt like they were running with it. They didn't feel like they were pushing beyond it. They look like runners. They look smooth. They look comfortable on the course.
Yeah, and definitely in the case of Luke, because Luke
is 13 by the way, guys.
Luke had originally entered for the open event.
Yeah.
So he knew beforehand that he was going to have to run 2 races.
Oh, he knew this beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he, I think the coach's instructions were do enough to win the team event, and then you can go harder in the open event. That was at least to
elite distance.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So but these guys, when I see them competing at their age, right, I definitely did not have that kind of awareness, that kind of tactical awareness, that kind of race acumen that they do. I used to just get up and run.
Yeah.
But you men know the 1K splits. The men know, them men know what cadence they are. Them men know, they're fully
so they know the zones and everything. They know the heart rate zone they want to be in.
I don't know if they know the heart rate zones, but I know as far as pacing and so on is concerned, those guys know exactly where they need to be. They know exactly what time they're going to be running for the course and so on. You should just get up and run fast.
Run fast and it feels thing after.
Exactly. Right? Whereas they have a certain maturity that is really beyond the years, at least beyond the years for me when I was that age.
Right. So they ran off in the first race. Down Cotton Tower, back up and finish up. And Finn, who won that race, is I won't go again.
Yeah. So it was funny because everybody was in the athletes enclosure, and again because of the guys who I have working with me now, I was not running around like a headless chicken.
Yeah.
I was I could relax and just have a overview to the event and see what was happening. And I heard him talking about it. He's like, I think I could do this the rest though. I want to do this again, and I got training tomorrow. And you could see him thinking about it. I mean each conversation he had with himself, he was convincing himself that he should do it.
I think he's probably saying to himself, how am I going to convince my parents and my coach that I should do it again?
And he made a decision, and he went later on again with the men.
All right. So that was the juniors done and dusted. And at this point in time, the adult competitors are entering because call time was 2 hours before. So you see, women were already almost all there, but the men, you see the men flowing in.
Right.
Few spectators, not a lot, but I respect the barbarians, the bar tribe, everyone who was not competing, who stayed away. Like, I know a lot of people probably felt the urge to come out there just to cheer on.
Yeah.
And also the people who were competing who also resisted the urge to bring the people to come and spectate, but those who couldn't resist, they spectated in a safe fashion to me.
Yeah.
The people were spread out.
Correct.
I feel we had about 50 spectators the most. If it's there.
It's like, it doesn't even feel like we had that many.
Yeah, because most of the people that were cheering you on were
either coaches or very close family members or somebody who brought their athlete to the race.
And then the other people were there on Cotton Tower.
Yeah.
And you can't stop them.
You can't stop people from being on the main road.
Yeah.
But it was everybody was very disciplined. We had a couple, obviously we had security on site just to make sure everybody followed the protocols, and their report to me was that everything was smooth. They had basically nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody who came to PEG on Saturday for just respecting everything, because, like I said, I felt like we had a responsibility to show that these things can be done and that they can be done safely, so that the authorities kind of give us a little bit more leeway and say, okay, I know that these youngsters or these fellas or these whomever are going to follow the protocols. They've seen that they've done it, so we can let them do it again and let people get out there and do what they really want to do, which is compete and have some fun.
So the ladies step up to the line now for their 4 o'clock start. And once again, George, you wasn't early. He wasn't on time, he was early.
She's all right. Big shout out to Jasper Blaze, who just could not hold that gun any longer.
Jasper, men check him out the time and say, oh yeah, you got to take off a minute because we start at a minute or two before.
Jasper started the race at 3:59:22. All the women, I guess, the man, so everybody here, we waited here for, and the race was off, and then Peter Gibbs was there scrambling. But luckily, we were all I was standing right at the start line at the time trying to get some footage, and we saw the actual clock time that started, 3:59:22.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get the race off early.
Jasper, man. You can hear stand by, and the gun.
Right.
Stand by.
No second stand by, just boom.
Bam, and everybody off and running. And I was only able to see the beginning and the end of the ladies 5K, obviously, because it's a cross-country race, not running in a circus, so you can't watch the race develop. But from the gun, and Carly Robinson and Amaris took control of the race, which I found surprising, to be honest.
Really? How come?
Because in talking to Carly and Amaris, they were both saying how hard the course is.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting them to set the pace, but I guess they looked around and nobody else was going ahead of them, so they were running at what was their comfortable pace, probably.
Well, yeah, and I think doing the post-race interview with Carly, she just said that on the day she felt great. She said she'd done the course before, and it felt hard, but on the day it just felt nice. It felt, I guess the conditions were better for her as well. It was cooler. And she, looking at the footage that we got back from the volunteers, the
volunteers did a great job of getting footage of that.
Yeah, because that was when I said, we're not carrying it live. We don't really have a proper media team here, so just take as many pictures as you can so we can post on the page to let people know what's going on. And they did, and pretty much by the time they had gotten around to the campsite, which is about just over a K, the top 5 women had spread out.
Yeah.
Social
distancing.
Amaris was still within kind of distance of striking distance of Carly, but by the time they hit the 2.5K mark, it was stretched out, and it just stayed like that till the end.
Yeah. In talking to Amaris, she said that she was indeed in striking distance. Carly was ahead of her, but she knew that she could probably run to catch Carly. But she said by the time she got on Cotton Tower Hill, we've been talking a bit about how well Carly has been climbing the hills.
Correct.
In training, etc. But then she made probably what we would call an executive decision.
Right.
She looked ahead of her, and then she saw Carly. Right. She looked behind her, she didn't see anybody.
Right.
So she was like, you know what? Yeah, we play the game safe here right now.
Because then she might have blown up and not got off the podium altogether. So, so it came in with, then the podium ended up being Carly, Amaris. Yeah. And you could see on Bowling Alley, there was a little bit, you can't even really call it a fight, more of a scuffle for 3rd and 4th, where Danielle Gonzalez attempted to get back to Zara Gibson on Bowling Alley.
Gibson or Gaskin?
Gaskin, sorry. Right. Yeah, correction. And But just that last little climb, Zara ran over the hill completely.
She ran the entire hill?
She ran, yeah. I mean, you know, like by that time, the cadence is very high. The steps are very small.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're going to...
Chip in.
Chip in. We're not going to disqualify Zara for the pacing that Philip Gaskin did on the course on his bike. We're just going to warn him in the future. You know, there's no pacing allowed. Unless you plan a pace for every athlete in the field, you know, just be a supportive father from the sidelines.
But she's young now.
But yeah, she's 18 years old. And again, you know, like when I was listening to somebody talking about Finn Armstrong close to the finish line. And this guy he wasn't being very positive. He was saying, you know, people be good, and then there's get on a plane and there's go overseas, and this whole rail lick's good in Barbados. But listen, I'm telling you, people,
I wish troops are here, so
I don't want, you know, I don't want to slap him, but I figure that, you know, in keeping with the atmosphere today, I should restrain myself. Right. But I'm telling you guys, at 15 years old, Finn Armstrong is for real. Zara Gaskin has a lot of potential. And you see, people ask me, well, what about Luke? Obviously, because Luke is
13.
It's 13. But the reason I lean more towards Finn than Luke right now is because Finn is closer towards physical maturity.
And he's getting tall, and he's going to fill out.
So sometimes what happens, there's guys who are really good as young juniors from an endurance perspective, but then when they hit puberty, they get that kind of surge of testosterone, and they become more kind of strength biased than endurance biased. So we don't know for sure what's going to happen to Luke. It could work out that Luke ends up being way better than Finn.
Yeah.
Right? But we know, like, basically Finn is close to that point right now. And if he's performing at that level at this age, 15 years old, he's still got a long, long way to go. He's going to be very good.
I would let that individual know that if Finn can run that course in a 20.46 in the wet, I personally, as a person that has run several 5Ks and tried my best to get sub 20, right? My personal best on a flat course is outdoor fitness is 20.40. Right. I understand. So that little boy or that guy, Finn Armstrong, he is for real. And we're going to tell you exactly why he is for real very shortly. But I want to get back to the point Carly made and ask you a question. It's an obvious question, but how important for you as a race coordinator was it for athletes to learn the course beforehand? As you said, Carly became, she said it was a lot better for her on the day because, and I put that down to her training the course.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, every piece of information that you can use and every resource you can use towards your race is going to be helpful. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's a guy who might come along, who might just be super fit. He might never have seen the course before, but he's good generally in this type of terrain. Yeah. And he might run a fast time. But could he run faster?
Yeah, he would probably run faster the next time is what you're saying.
Yeah, he could, And the thing is, like, because it is a technical course, because there are places where, you know, the terrain changes and where there's undulations, there might even be places where you know about the potholes here, all them types of things. If you have that knowledge,
you know the stairs coming up. Yeah.
Exactly. You're going to be a few seconds or a few fractions of a second faster than everybody else, right? And if you could save 10 seconds every K, that's like, you know, that's almost a full minute off your time. Yeah. So absolutely coming out and learning the course is something that's invaluable towards helping to maximize the performance. Now, somebody might be good enough that they don't need to maximize the performance. They could just come and, you know, and do 95% and still be all the way. But if you want to do the absolute best, then having a good idea of the course is definitely the way to go.
A tricky question for you now. You feel Darren Matthews was training the course?
I don't think Darren trained that particular course, but, you know, I live in St. John, and I see every now and then as we driving somewhere, and I see these men in bareback slogging through hills. You know, we know that they're training on course, they're training on the hills, they're training off-road, they're training mountain goats sometimes. So I think we know Darren to be a very good runner in technical terrain. Yeah. Just generally, he has the skills for it. And I think that, you know, where some guys might have come from a track background or even a road racing background and have that particular skill set. And maybe if they competed against Darren in that environment, they might beat him. On the track or on the road. Yeah. But it requires a separate set of skills to compete on the trail, and especially when the trail is like it was on Saturday.
I was telling some person it was a slog in the sludge.
Yes, and even the road section now, even the road section on Bowling Alley became a completely different surface because of the rain.
Yeah,
right. So
slippery.
Yeah, so normally you might bomb and go down that hill, and then you just gotta figure out how to get back up.
Yeah,
but there was very little bombing down that hill. It was more like
the question that all the guys were asking the ladies as they came back in. I even asked Danielle that when she came in, like, tell me about the course. Tell me what's going on that course. And everybody, Amaris, Carly, and Daniel was like, we went on the hill easy.
Yep. Even when I watched the footage of Carly, it looked like she was tiptoeing going down the hill.
Yeah.
So when my Ramel tell me he followed twice at the bottom of Bowling Alley.
I hear Ramel with this story, right? But follow once I can forgive.
Right.
But how you follow twice?
And the bar says a good thing he had at the bottom of horse hill. I'm
not gonna lie to you, when I was climbing Bowling Alley, maybe a guy that's run down. I might just keep straight. I might keep straight and somebody drive me. He was like, you know what? It don't make no sense trying to break this right turn here. No, we just keep straight and recover.
Right.
Come back to y'all. So no, the ladies are over. Congratulations to Carly. Congratulations to Amaris, to Zara, to Danielle. But we have to mention Luke's sister, Layla McIntyre. Because she can't fit. I mean, like, we see this little person coming up over the, I didn't know the sun coming down, so just seeing the silhouette. I was like, this person competing?
10 years old. 10 years old.
Standing a whole 3.5 feet high.
Is that how tall she is?
I don't know. She's probably taller than that.
Not much, though, for sure. And and 5th overall in the ladies.
And it's nothing to sneeze at. She beating proper ladies too.
Yeah, women who are good runners, not like, everybody just get off the couch yesterday. People who are good runners, she went out there and she competed. And just the race awareness at that age, knowing how to pace yourself over that 5K. I mean, maybe at that age you don't need to pace yourself. You just run fast.
I cannot imagine how I remember being that age. I could not run 5K. I know the first time at Harrison College when they told us that they got the 5,000 race, I feel it was 18 laps or so around the field. And it seemed so ludicrous, and I attempted it, and I was like, nah, it dropped out like after 8 hours, something like that. So I do not know how these youngsters, people say, oh, they got all this energy, they may this, that, or they may do that, they don't drink the alcohol and all that. Right. But the fact is, George, that
5K is still a long way to go.
5K is still a long way to go.
I did do that same 5,000 meters you talk about at Harrison College, and I just feel that people lost track of the laps. I was out there for a long time, 5 minutes and something seconds, and these men ran out on a course like this.
Yeah.
In, what really would have equated to like 5 minutes and 19 seconds per K, I was thinking.
Yeah.
And these men down in the 4 points per K.
Yeah.
This course, crazy.
When I went on Finn's Instagram, it made me a little sad to see him in Harrison College colors, because I feel like Barbados, the track and field community of Barbados, is missing out on watching excellence develop. Because I'm sorry we cannot see him in the school sports.
Right.
We got to watch a lot of other people. We watched Matthew Wright on his journey. We watched Mario Burr on his journey. Right. We've seen so much Sade, Jonathan Jones. We've seen all these people develop in the school sports. And I feel like if Finn was competing, he would first of all be blowing people's minds away when he steps onto the track. But also, him personally would be an inspiration for more youngsters to come out and try a thing, do a thing. And I think that's I feel bad that we're missing out on in the school sports now.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully before he's leaving school, there's a chance to have in a school sport
you go out there and win that trophy for Harrison College.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing.
The good thing is he's still young enough, that he could potentially have another 2 or 3 years at school. So let's hope that we get to see him compete.
Because we as a school and a country, we just lost Layla. The other Layla, not Layla McIntyre, Layla Haynes.
Layla Haynes, yeah.
She just gone up to IMG Academy and dominated to that same person.
Actually, she was the example I used to him.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Because Layla just gone up to the States in Florida. I winning races and not just winning, they beating people.
An elite track and field school, so absolutely.
So, big ups to Layla McIntyre, big ups to all the ladies who competed. I want to say a special shout outs to Donna. I don't know if she even listens to the podcast, but watching Donna finish that 5K swole my heart, George. To see her finish, because she's been training with the block from and what I love about Donna and for the record, for the record, is that they come to every session, and I personally can see the improvement. I don't know if you feel like a good coach then, but
I mean, all of you, all you guys,
not here, but I'm out here.
all you guys make me look like I actually know what I'm doing, but. I have to applaud everybody's efforts because, obstacle course racing, training for obstacle course racing is a little different to just training for running.
Yeah.
In addition to, we're having to improve your running, you got to be able to do these skills as well. You got to be able to do the carries, and you're running so much, do you preserve the strength needed to do the heavy lifting and so on. And you see some people come and seem to get everything the first time. And then you see people who struggle literally for weeks. Like, there's persons who've come to the training and it took them 4 to 6 weeks just to be able to do a J-hook on the rope climb.
Yeah.
6 weeks just to do a J-hook. And then there's other people who don't get it the first time and they get frustrated and they might drop out. And there's somebody here who's been spending the last 6 weeks just trying to do the most basic skill for the rest of us. But for them, it's obviously quite challenging.
Yeah.
And to see those persons persevere and push through and never give up, I think that is the real spirit of obstacle course racing. That grit, that stick-to-itiveness. Yeah, we have to applaud Donna for sure for coming out and pushing through for that 5K.
Definitely. Everybody for sure, but Donna, she stood out in my mind for sure. And Daniel Elias as well, big up Dan as well, because it's for me, it's always be about the effort.
Correct.
And the improvement. So all for the ladies now, we jumping out to, as I say, when the ladies are wrapping up, the crowd was swelling now, the amount of competitors swelling, you can see. Right. The tension started to rise.
Right.
I don't know if it was palpable. I did not really see, and everybody's looking for it. I told you my biggest regret about being in the race is that I'm not going to be able to see Josh versus Darren firsthand. I did not even see that man really before the race. I did not see Darren once before the race. I saw Darren's vehicle.
Right.
He went and got in his band.
Right.
And I don't know where he went to warm up.
Darren was warming up for... I remember seeing Darren when the ladies were coming around by the stairs. So again, about the 1,500 meter mark.
Yeah.
And this would have been, let's call this...
About 3:15, the most...
10 minutes into the race, if that?
Yeah, because they would have started at 3 o'clock, a minute to 4, sorry.
Right, yeah.
They started a minute to 4. For a skate, they were probably running, let me say they're running for a skate 5. It's less than 10 minutes anyway, so it's about 10 past 4.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he'd already broken a sweat. He was already warming up for long enough to broken a sweat.
Yeah.
He was over by that side, then he went over to the other side. I guess partly what he was doing was speccing the course during his warm-up as well.
Right.
Because he was there running around for a whole hour. I remember him saying to somebody, "You ain't going to warm up?" And the boy said, "Wait, he got like 40 minutes before I going." Right? So, yeah, he was...
but he was there. Game there, Darren is a different beast.
Listen, it's crazy. I tell people, everybody can have, not everybody. Obviously, everyone has a different level of talent.
Yeah.
And then people can go out there and they can put in the work and achieve a certain level of fitness through hard work. Mm. But that mental game is something that...
To go to that dark place.
Yeah, I mean, you have to... I'm not even sure if it's teachable, to be honest with you. To some extent it is, but that mental game is something that I think you have to be born with somehow.
Right. So Darren definitely had it. So we're looking forward now to hearing who's going to win, because Josh had a lot of talk. What was the exact bet?
The exact bet was he was going to donate $1 for every 2 seconds that anybody beat him by.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody.
Okay. And as many people as beat him, there was going to be money donated to the charity.
That's a very, very, very brave and bold of you, Josh. And let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is. No, we don't want to talk about too many things, but the race starts now at 1 minute before 5, because the 5 o'clock start. Jasper once again can't hold again.
I thought it was 5 o'clock. It was a little bit before?
It was at 4:59.
Wow.
If you check even the results, you will see gun time, 4:59.
Now, people know that my races always start on time, but now we got a reputation.
Yeah.
You better get to that race early, because if you get there on time, everybody going along.
Everybody going along. On the course, Ralph was like, "Oh, are they going to give you back the extra minute that you took, because I know you started late?" Because he just figured that because he felt like I had started early, that some people may have missed the gun, but I didn't miss the gun. Right. So We get them on the line. How many men did we have on the line?
That's a good question. I think I could check for you right now, actually, but I think we had around 80 or so men. So
70,
I should
something.
really know this off the top of my head, right?
70 something probably.
So we have 68 on that page, and we got a second page. So yeah, around 75 or so.
Yeah, I would just refrain from making the 69 jokes. But
try to read on your phone after 50 years old. It's kind of stressful.
Yeah, so we had over 70 men competing, and I'm looking around me, George, and I just tell you all from my personal, I started to get nervous. I've been in races before. Right. Maurice was telling me, Maurice is another person that trains with us. He was telling me he's feeling nervous, and this was since like 4 o'clock before the women ran off. I was like, I ain't got any nervous, but we ain't got the crowd on there. But when I see the caliber of athletes that approach that start line, George, and I'm talking, I only talking about young boys, I'm talking about the older guys as well. So he's looking around, he's seeing the Norgrove twins. Right. And these men, and intimidation is a real thing. Men dress in a uniform. Right. So I see men turn in a uniform and tell myself these men are professionals. Right.
In the Blackbirds uniform.
I see in the Norgrove twins, I see in a lot of UE Blackbirds uniform, they see in Darren Matthews and Darren Treasure on the line. Seeing Josh, I see people like Adande. That's Finn Armstrong. That's the little boy that just went the juniors that in this race too.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, let me just ease to the back here.
Right.
Ease into my place. You must have been proud of that start, like when you saw the quality of athlete that you had attracted to this race.
And I think obviously it's an environment that you have to be fairly motivated to want to compete in. And also like. These guys are out there who've been training for a while and just haven't had no competition whatsoever. So that start line, let me tell you, I think like quality-wise for the size of the field has to be one of the best starting fields for a road race. A casual road race in Barbados for a while. And like, let me tell you,
I can only think of like 3 or 4 people that weren't there, and those are just road runners. Those are not. They might probably just stay away from cross country.
Like Jerome, he said he got injured.
Yeah.
He had a car accident or something. So
Jerome Blackhead, who would have been the person that came second last time.
Yeah. So wish him better. But
wish him better. Get well soon, chaps.
But yeah, so there weren't that many people from the running community who weren't at that race, who were really decent runners.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Jet there, who's a bar man.
Right.
He's more of an obstacle course racer, but just to see him compete against these guys.
On a pure 5K.
On a pure 5K. But it's not that pure 5K. We got stairs, we got mud. But yeah, so the gun goes off, and you were going to take it from here, George, because I ain't seen none of this action.
Yeah, I mean, again, thanks to the volunteers for the footage. The gun goes off, and usually the guys who are good sprint at the start. Like you sprinting at the start, you can get tired, but to nerd it up a little bit, from an exercise physiology, you go about 6 seconds at the start of a race that you can pretty much sprint flat out without generating any lactate at all.
Really?
Yeah, so that ATP CP system that you want to learn about on your course.
Yeah.
You can sprint the first 6 seconds flat out to create some distance between you and the rest of the field. It's not going to affect your legs in any way, shape, or form.
You're not going to be out of breath or anything?
It might just, like you would be out of breath for like you would run a short sprint, but 6 seconds isn't that far.
Right.
And then, you settle back into your running, you have some space around you, and that's pretty much what the guys at the front did. And it was a downhill start as well, right? So
quick start.
Yeah, so again, when they came around through the campsite area, the same area you just talked about with Carly and Amaris.
Well taped off, by the way.
Yeah, we did, like I said, thanks to Dominic and the other volunteers, we spent a lot of time marking the course because it's a course that you could make mistakes if you don't know what you're doing. And a few people had done that during the training runs. Yeah. So we want to ensure that everyone stayed on course and knew exactly where to go at all times. So at that point in time, when they came through down into the gully,
after this is after they went downhill, going onto the main road. There's a slight climb there where you first get on. The first side of the trail is uphill, and it was slippy.
And it was correct.
It was slippy. So
and then there were like vehicle tracks on either side, so you had to run in the middle or know exactly where to run, not to get your shoes, the threads on your shoes full of mud.
And it wasn't vehicle tracks like a tractor track. It was a vehicle that was spinning in it, so it was slippy.
Correct.
I keep saying slippy and not slippery, but you weren't getting any traction at all.
And I didn't see too much of that section, but by the time they came into the campsite, Darren was ahead. Josh was right with him. They go down into the gully. And then the first sign, I think, of the difference between skill and running on the trail and skill and running on the road, I saw as they went up the stairs.
Okay.
So you see the guys who run trail regularly kind of choosing the right line and almost high-stepping so as not to slip. And then you see Josh kind of pushing off the ground like to generate a lot of power going up the stairs and actually slipping.
Right. So every time you push down, you're going to get that torque and that's going to get the grip.
It's almost like you see them tires spinning, right?
Yeah.
So at the bottom of the stairs are together. By the time they crest the stairs and then go up the little incline that would take you back towards the restaurant, where we had, actually, that was a nice place for the ladies who'd finished their race to come and spectate. By the time...
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah. And we actually, that was the actual first set of footage for the men's race that I put on the Instagram page.
Yeah, so they're just coming off the stairs there.
And you can see the distance that Darren already has on Josh coming off of that little section.
Yeah.
So they come off that section and it flattens out. And then
Josh knows the course well as well.
And Josh had done the course quite a bit. And so Josh came back to Darren at this point. Right? So he ran back to Darren and actually went in front of Darren. And, Josh could tell us otherwise, but in my estimation, Josh didn't make a decisive enough attack then. So he passed Darren, but he passed Darren and maybe put a meter or two between him and Darren, and then Darren just sat down.
Darren literally settled in. You could see it in the footage that you're saying. Like,
he's like, okay, you want me in front? You go in front. I can stay right here behind you.
I think that what would have happened there, and this is, as you say, us just guessing as slow men, but is that Josh would have stepped up his pace a bit, and it has happened to me in riding as well. Where you think that you're probably putting some distance when this man behind me, and I up my pace, but he upped the pace, thinking that Darren was probably close to his thing, but Darren just said, okay, that's the pace you're going to run at. I'm going to run at this pace if you too. So, and there's nothing that could really break him more than thinking that you're creating some distance from the man, or you hear your man footsteps, everything you do.
So at that point in time, you have a decision to make. Your decision is, well, you think you can stay with me? I can crack you in half, or nah, I can actually end up breaking myself by trying to create this separation. So let me just settle down.
Yeah.
So I think that obviously was the case, because by the time they came off peg, they made the hairpin turn to start to descend Bowling Alley, they were still together.
So at the top of Bowling Alley, they were still together.
Yeah, they were still together.
Slippy course, by the way, guys.
Yeah, and I think, again, I'm kind of speculating as to what was in Josh's mind, and he could tell us if it's different. But I feel that Josh knows Darren to be maybe a little better run in the hills and maybe a little bit more on the technical terrain.
Right.
And he wanted to crest Bowling Alley first.
Right.
And so I think that's where the kind of impetus to try to create some distance and try to shake off Darren before he got to that point might have come from.
Want to be able to get on top of the Bowling Alley. So if anything, the two of us going to fight this last K and a half.
Exactly. But it didn't really pan out like that. And again, when you look at the footage, you see Darren running the entire way up the hill, and you see maybe about 100 meters back, you see Josh walking at this point. You see Josh walking, coming up the hill, and then you see young Finn Armstrong jogging up the hill and overtaking Josh. Yeah. And when Finn overtook Josh, Josh started to run again.
Okay. Now, this, from my perspective now, well, this is because we have a ways behind, and I'm trying to work out. I had said to myself, I can see on Bowling Alley exactly where I am, because I know it's out and back.
Right.
I could count the amount of people that are coming up Bowling Alley in front of me to know if I could, how close I am to them. Right. But it's hard to tell how close you are, because a man might look 25 meters in front of you, right? But when actually he already went the hill.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, by the time you come off of that hill, he might be 50, 75 meters ahead
Correct.
of you, right? So I see Darren climbing like it's flat road, first of all.
Right.
That's it wasn't a chippy cadence.
Right.
It was a running. He was running up the hill. That guy's got a motor.
Right.
A few meters down the hill, I see Josh. He takes what would be the left-hand corner on the ascent.
Right.
And he looks up and he sees Darren. And Darren is, this hill is a little long, right? But Darren is about to crest the hill. And I feel like Josh, as we say, you can go correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like when he saw how much more hill he had to go,
Right.
the fact that Darren was still running and cresting, that I feel it broke him.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel it broke because that is when
I started to walk.
And it wasn't I keep saying it was not a calculated walk.
Right.
It was not a case where you could say, this guy said when they get here, he can walk. And
Right.
It was like a...
Yeah, I can't do nothing more here.
Yeah, it was like, let me shut it off because this man got too much distance on me. Same time, a lot more chippy than Darren was running, but running nonetheless. I see Finn Armstrong climbing the hill just behind Josh then. So I knew he was going to pass Josh shortly. And then I see Luke McIntyre. and at that point in time, I'm asking, where's a Dandy? Right. Because I was really looking for Darren, Josh, a Dandy. I wasn't expecting these youngsters to be able to. I was like, what? These little men that just ran, these men beating me that bad.
Just finished running less than an hour ago, just about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And then back on the course again.
So that is it from my perspective. It felt to me as though when Josh realized that the amount of climbing he still had to do and the amount of distance Darren had created and was creating, that he shut off. Yeah. It wasn't. He was no longer running his race.
Yeah, and maybe if Finn hadn't overtaken him at that point, maybe the actual difference in times between Darren's and Josh's finish could have been even more. Because I think once Finn, you know, sometimes if you're out there by yourself and somebody's run past you and you say, well, let me hook on by him and go along. Yeah. I think that actually gave him the impetus to start running again, even though he might not have been fully recovered and ready to go again. Yeah. You know, he's like, all right, let me try and hook on to Finn here now and see what he can do between now and then.
Yeah, they'll talk about. Yeah. But from what Amherst was telling me is that Luke wasn't far off of them either.
No, I mean, I want to, I feel good for Josh that Luke did not beat him, right? I mean, because I don't know where Josh would be now if Luke had beaten him. He
would probably be at the bank drawing off more money.
But not only that, but you know, listen, sometimes when women seeing men trash talking about sport, and I don't want to make this sexist, they see it and the testosterone is there and they think it's serious, right? Yeah. But listen, you can imagine how much pressure Josh would take today all through till the end of the year if Luke had beaten him as well. He would not be able. He would have to move over to Barbados. That's the truth. Yeah. So it's a good thing for him that he actually managed to hold off Luke as well and get on that podium for sure. Yeah,
for sure. So then Darren, I guess it's all smooth sailing from there for Darren. He just climbs the hill. Breaks he left there, but we call it the 10-foot wall. That's how you know about Barbarians. We say he left there, but the 10-foot wall over the berm and smooth sailing back home for Darren. Yeah. He looked comfortable in the footage.
Yeah, I mean,
I only knew he was running fast because he was trying to keep up with it. You can see that.
Yeah, and it wasn't even we saw Darren and there was somebody in the distance. There was nobody in the frame. Yeah. When he came into the finish line, and like you said, looking very comfortable, looking very strong, still accelerating at the end, and a great performance from Darren Matthews to finish 19 minutes plus on that course, which is crazy.
I know that you said in the last 5K, you've always told the story when he was running against Chubbs, Jerome, that you could see that there was some suffering on Darren's face at some points in that race. Yep. This race...
I never saw that in this race.
That's the stoic.
I don't know if it's a degree of preparation or just the fact that, he really wasn't under pressure for the last maybe K and a half of the race, but he just looked comfortable. He looked smooth. But Darren's a fairly stoic guy anyhow, so when he's suffering, you're really not going to tell unless he's really at the brink. Yeah. Breaking.
And we haven't been able to see him there since that first 5K trail miss. Correct. After he popped off Jerome, though, then he went back to stoicness. From my perspective here now, the race, I had always told you that I'm going to take the first K slowly because I figured the first K is going to be very fast. And as I said, people are going to get caught up with the hype of Darren Adande, Josh at the beginning, the downhill and everything. So I found myself in traffic. Right. Found myself fighting then to find, because I have marked out the course based on ants' nests. Right. Silly on my part because all the ants' nests get washed away and stand up. So
not a recommended strategy.
That's not a recommended strategy, guys. So now we go down into the gully. It's slippery and things. So going through the campsite, and I had always said I want to get that little technical descent to go into the gully. before people,
Right. So you can actually see what you're doing.
So I can see what you're doing. So I go on now and they start to get there. They start to tippy toe.
Right.
And then behind me start the corner. Man, don't stick up, man, don't stick up. You don't need that. And I tell you, Jamal Griffith is probably the most nimble guy around bar.
Right.
He taps me on my shoulder, taps me to the side.
Right.
I sprayed on him. And all I saw men behind the corner. Don't stick up, you can make somebody.
Right.
All right, cool. And so he ran through the gully. Yeah. He ran through the gully now. We climbed the stairs. Once again, men behind there quarreling about thing, but I had always said with the stairs, I see men getting the stairs too all the time. I say we're not going to suffer. This is why I asked you about knowing the course before. We're not going to suffer when we get on that lawn.
All the men, they walk up on the lawn. All the men walk the lawn. Jamal, all of them.
All the men running there, jumping at the stairs two at a time. I was like, and I chip up one, trying to maintain my balance. And I actually did something there that I didn't do in training, which was I ran, because I didn't know how we were going to mark the course. I ran to the dead left down there, so as to avoid too much of the slope.
Right.
So I was watching the gradient there. This is the reason I'm telling you this is because we get into the part now where we said the girls were there. So all this time I was in traffic and they running and I passing people, but I could see who coming up. I could see Tompy coming up there. I said I can ease past Tompy here now, right? Because I know Tompy's a competitor. But all the people start shouting, go son. So it's impossible for me now to sneak up on any of the competition when there's a crowd out there, right?
That's like when men in the stadium and they look up on the Jumbotron and see who coming behind them.
Yeah, exactly. And that there played out because that section of the course is probably my least favorite. That section from the top of the stairs all the way down to the top of Cotton Tower, that was probably my least, because it is a slog.
Right.
You're running, you're using the effort, but you're not moving as quickly as you are accustomed to moving. And I running and I picking up individuals, recognizing individuals and saying, well, I could beat this person.
Right.
And I see the next person ahead of me is one Neil Burke.
Right.
Good morning, Berkey.
Right.
Good day, Berkey. And my head dropped because I said to myself, whenever, the same thing we talk about that's now with Josh and Luke, whenever you get to Neil Burke, he ain't letting you pass it. So you know you got to create some effort here, and it could probably be more effort or run faster than you.
And you really want to.
Yeah, so I started to calculate that. Because I don't want to be in a sprinting race with Neil Burke.
At 2K?
At 2K, right. So when descending the hill, I see Darren, I see all these guys. I see Darren Treasure as well. Another guy that I recognize his name to be Lucas Ness now, so I want to pick him up as well. And those then became my targets on my way back in. And I just want to commend, again, all the spectators and everything, because they made the last 500 meters of that course. So I would know going forward now that when you're train to run for 4,500 meters, because the crowd can get you through the last 500 meters. Yeah. So big ups to them. But all in all, George, stupendous event.
Yeah, and again, I can't even say that I could take credit for it. I think, obviously, I conceptualized the idea, but
one of his better concepts, unlike Coast to Coast.
But nothing happens without David Sumrick at the Amarone Charitable Trust. Nothing happens without Nathan Neblett and his team of volunteers.
Volunteers, bigger yourself. I mean, I get so excited when I see the camera phones. I was like, well, let me look good here now.
Yeah. Listen, nothing happens without Monica and the rest of my team at Surfside. Yeah, and nothing happens without all you guys who came out and supported the event. Because again, in this environment, people could just choose to stay at home. And to have roughly 200 people between the males, the females, and the juniors come out and take part in the course and support the event, because I think it's important that if individuals go out there and do the right thing, because that's the first thing. If individuals go out there and do the right thing and host events for us in these times, I think we should go out there and support them. And I want to thank everybody again who came out on Saturday and made it a reality.
What's next, so Bar? We heading into October.
Yeah, well, every month there's something, and October is going to be pop-up month. So, what I'm actually doing, and this is breaking news, and I already told Teague to change it on the website, but with Teague involved, that might take 4 or 5 days.
Should carry Teague.
Yeah, exactly. So what I decided to do was actually push the pop-ups back a week. So instead of the 9th and the 23rd, I'm pushing them back to the 16th and the 30th. I used to try and avoid Halloween weekend because there'll be all the Halloween parties and everything with the kids, but that's probably not going to happen this year. So both pop-ups, I'm only doing 2. I'm going to do 2 pop-ups and both at Simpson Motors. Okay. We would normally do the 3rd big kind of team event at Bushy Park. Yeah. But that tends to attract, not that Simpson Motors doesn't attract spectators, but Bushy Park has a lot of space for spectators, and we don't want to encourage that too much. But also because I think the Bushy Park event was always a team event where people had to run in very close proximity to each other. So we're going to just do the 2 pop-ups at Simpson Motors, and then November, obviously, we'll be getting ready for BAR. So that's going to be the 16th and the 30th, both at Simpson Motors, and this will be a chance for you to come out and try the new obstacles or try those obstacles that have been challenging you for a while that you haven't been able to get through. So we have, a couple new ones. I think they look really good. I don't think
it started. I see up on Saturday a lot of people were asking about the spider wall.
We have a new wall courtesy of CSI Construction. Big shout out to Mikhail and his dad who were sponsoring that obstacle for us, sponsoring the obstacle through design and construction. And then we have Glass Esco who donated the materials for that obstacle. So Neil Thompson, thanks to you.
Thanks, Neil. Man.
We haven't seen Sabrina training much this year. I'm not sure what's happening, but we'd like to see Sabrina come back out. She's a true barbarian.
She's going to be all right.
Yeah.
She's going to be all right.
So we have a new wall. We have some new obstacles on the rigs. Everybody's like, we're bringing the Gibbons. I think in another year, we might bring the Gibbons. But, where we have had a limited training schedule and everybody hasn't been able to get in as they'd like to, we're going to hold back the Gibbons for one more year.
Please do.
But I'm excited.
New rules on the grip, on the ball as well. I think that's important that you let people know because last year with the grip rig, the nunchucks was everyone's enemy, but you got to look out for the ball. What's your rule?
Yeah, so I remember last year when we posted, there was a guy from Puerto Rico who commented on the page about why do I let my people hold on to the pins? Yeah. So there's a ball and then there's a stem that comes from the ball that you actually connect to the actual rig. Yeah. And so right away I got in touch with Carl from Force 5. Big shout out to Carl if you're listening, all the way from Canada. Force 5 supplies a lot of the obstacles for obstacle course racing, world championships, and a lot of other races all over the world.
And that's one big up down there, just had their world championships the same weekend as the Bar 5K. And it's up online.
Listen, I mean, they got to be real brave to do that, to hold an event when we're holding one.
Exactly. I don't know what they were even thinking.
They were lucky anybody went. Exactly. Right? So Carl, I spoke to Carl straight away, and he says, nobody does anything about it. They're happy to hold the stem. But now there's been a rule change. So this year there's been a rule change, and you can't hold the stem on the ball. And you're asking me what that has to do with us in BAR. And BAR is actually a qualifier. Don't forget, BAR is a qualifier for World Obstacle Commonwealth Championships in Jamaica. OCR World Championships as well. So we don't want you to come here.
A lot of people wondering which George got me, so stay with the rules.
Exactly. You can come here and you can win a qualifying spot, and then you can go somewhere and you can't last because you're still holding on to your pins. Train it the right way so that once you go abroad, you're already au fait with all the obstacles and how they performed, and you can represent Barbados proudly and bring us some glory.
The question I want to ask you was, I setting you up on it, I said, can't let you straight in your face when I answer this. But with the World OCR, what we noticed by watching the championships over the weekend was that it's either you can get the obstacle do or you get home. Ain't a burpees.
Yeah, they have obstacles that they call must complete obstacles, and you have to stay there until you do it.
Or give me a band.
And if you don't, you got to cut your band. You can finish off the course for fun, but you're not going to get an official time. So we're not there quite yet. I think we're not there yet. I think with the sports, we obviously have that in the team event. Because we figured that if you have 4 persons and you have certain criteria, you should be able to work out the strategy to get somebody through it. But we're going to still keep the burpees as a kind of feel safe for those in the singles event. And as the sport grows and becomes more of a real sport, inverted commas, in Barbados with, a much stronger following, then we might become more strict at the competitive level. We'll still keep it fun at the open level.
I actually down for the must complete though. Must complete. I study obstacles like the.
That's because you're really technically proficient on all the obstacles.
Fairly, I would still give me a little trouble for the tire wall. Don't forget that's my nemesis. But I rather go back and run and jump the tire wall again than do 15 burpees.
30 burpees.
30 burpees. It's 30 burpees this year.
I still haven't decided. The whole burpee thing, I honestly wish there was some other way to have a penalty rather than burpees. I don't like the burpee thing because, especially if you go to an event where there's not volunteers who are so au fait with the event. You got to count 30 burpees for 6 or 8 people at a time.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know who's stopping at 25. You don't know who gets it.
And 30 is a big number.
Yeah, somebody might go only 5, 10, 15, 20 and go on. You don't know. And so I think some races have kind of penalty laps. But again, you need a lot of space for that. So, you know, the ultimate way, obviously, is the must complete obstacle.
Yeah.
And we're going to eventually get there. But I think while people are still starting to learn the sport in Barbados, giving them that out through burpees is probably the best way for now.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, though, the people that counting the burpees badly, they're only cheating themselves, especially if you're looking to qualify for anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they might cheat you too. Somebody might come off a tire wall together.
All right, fair.
And you might do your 30 and they might do 20 and go low. And you're thinking, well, hang on, I had this man, right?
Yeah.
Not only is he's skimp on the burpees, but now you're going to be more gassed than he is by the time you get to the next obstacle because you did 10 additional burpees. So, you know, some people feel like if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So
fair enough. I've heard that before.
Yeah, so trying, that's why I don't like events that you have to count reps where you have to look at form and technique. Pick up that ball and get over there however you can. Climb over this thing here. And then you don't have to worry about people, you know, bending the rules. Because we don't care how you do it as long as you get it done.
Yeah. All right, so we got pop-ups to look forward to. New dates for the pop-ups. Give me the dates
October
again.
16th and October 30th.
Okay.
And then following that, November will be the big event. BAR, November 26th to 28th.
And a lot of people know BAR. A lot of people who are listening to this podcast right now or watching this podcast know BAR already. The last thing I want to get you to talk about quickly, we're definitely doing the 5K singles event.
Well, that is subject to entries. So that is on the calendar. I have a space on the BAR weekend for it. And funnily enough, I've had quite a few entries for it. Probably more entries than the 3K. But I think, you know, the entries so far have been very heavily biased towards the 5K. So I think now that the 5K is over, people will start to choose their event for November.
Right.
But yeah, we have more people leaning towards the 5 now than the 3. I don't think it's going to stay that way.
Probably not.
No. So once we get 10 to 15 in the 5, we will do it. If not, I'll just either credit those guys or have them move into the 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to the 3 just because I think the guys who did the 3 last year who are going to be better this year, who were coming to BAR for the first time last year,
proposition.
who only learned about it last year. But also I think that there's some people who have been training who have improved so much that I don't think that podium is going to look anywhere near the same as it did last year.
What was the podium last year? Again, last year the podium was, we had Darren up front.
Darren, Jet, and Fabian.
Nor Rovers.
Jet getting beat this year, though. I mean, honestly, Jet, I know I like you. I think you're one of the best guys out there.
One of the best on
but I think you're getting beat this year, so I hope you're training. I mean,
that's the thing.
I will never bet against Darren Matthews in anything. So
ever again. Thank you, because I told you all this year when we had Josh on the podcast. I can't bet against DM. It goes down in the DM.
Absolutely. So I got Darren at the top of the podium, and the rest of them can fight for second and third place. But Jet is probably gonna be somewhere down in 5th, if you ask me.
Wow. That's big talk. Somebody send Jet this podcast, boy.
Let him hear it, because he better go start training because
5th is low for a man like Jet.
Yep.
5th is low. All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, though. It's almost an hour. But somebody told me yesterday, I just get really excited when they talk about BAR, and it's true. Right? I can talk about BAR and BAR events for the next hour again. So let me stop here. I'll come back and do another podcast another time. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Can't do that. All we're going